Hello, my name is Grace Leary, and I would like to welcome you to our virtual education series. This is the second Carnosine Academy, and we've had thousands of people take away so much information from our first session. But this is a momentous occasion because tonight we are streaming live across all platforms. So go to thecarnosinelab.com, find us on your favorite platform, and you can comment and follow there. If you're live here on the webinar, welcome. Thank you for being here. And if you're watching the recording, welcome too. We use the Q&A here, so please ask your questions. That's what we want. We want these experts to answer your questions. So ask them here and we will endeavor to get them answered by experts in following webinars. So we're about to go into a deep dive into the incredible science of carnosine and how it is helping people everywhere feel better, recover faster, and just get back to that true sense of wholeness. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, maybe you've heard of carnosine, maybe you haven't, but the science is truly amazing. And tonight we are joined by three very, very smart individuals. You've been getting to know some of our experts on our previous calls, but the first that I would like to introduce here this evening is Chad Macias. He was introduced to the formula to effectively deliver carnosine 15 years ago while he was founding the Institute of Human Kinetics. And he has worked with a plethora of incredible athletes, high-level professionals, every people across the world. Just wait until you hear some of his accolades. We also welcome Dr. Kevin Keys, who owns one of the largest multidisciplinary practices in Texas and brings 27 years of natural medicine to this experience. But first of all, we're going to bring on Dr. Giselle Batchela. Giselle is one of Utah's favorite practitioners. She has a huge background in natural health, stemming from her training in organic dentistry and expanding into a huge resume of regenerative medicine applications. She's got more letters after her name than I can pronounce, but I'd just love to welcome you to the call.
Grace, just start with Chad because we will.
Oh, oh, that's fine. I also, pardon me, I did not say that this call is for educational purposes only. So nobody on this call is here with the intention of treating or diagnosing any diseases or illnesses. Always please consult with your doctor if you have any questions before starting any new regimen. So Chad, I'd love to bring you onto the call. Hi, Chad.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Just really excited to have your expertise here. Obviously, there's a lot of people of different levels on this webinar. Some people know a lot about carnosine, but I personally knew nothing. Would you be able to give us an introduction as to what this amazing molecule is, how you came across it, and why you're so excited about it?
Absolutely. So in our research paper, I'm going to go nerd high level science first. In our first research paper, well, second research paper, I should say, our first outcome-based research paper in 2016, we referred to it as what it should be appropriately called, a cytoplasmic neuropeptide. That sounds complicated, and what that really means is it's a peptide, and it has its greatest impact in the cytoplasm and within the different cell structures of the nervous system. And so carnosine is just that. It's a dipeptide. It is naturally produced within the body. It's produced in a few different places in the cerebral spinal fluid, the heart, and the skeletal muscle. And the reason it's so important is because it is involved in almost every single cellular process in our body. It performs probably 30 or 40 different functions in every single type of cell that exists in our body. And it performs so many different types of functions in all of those cells. It'd be difficult to discuss in this call, actually. There is probably four, five, six, who knows how many thousands of studies that are published on carnosine. A lot of them are what we would call a narrative review. It's just that them reviewing all the different things carnosine could potentially do in modern disease, but there's this problem with delivering an efficacious dose because of the challenges of orally ingesting carnosine. And that's why you guys are hearing about this gel And that's why we took the steps that we took moving down this path, was how could we take carnosine and put it into the body in a way that was going to have an impact on athletic performance and human health.
Okay, amazing. So we are hearing general health wise so many incredible testimonials. What is it that's different about the delivery system? Because you mentioned that there are, 3,000, and I've looked at them. You can literally Google carnosine and anything, and so much information comes up. But why is LactiGo, what's so exciting about this delivery method?
Well, a couple of different things. So the first one being that carnosine itself is considered a very large hydrophilic molecule. And because of that, our skin's lipophilic. It's very difficult to get a hydrophilic molecule of that size through the skin. It had never been done before. So that is what kind of made us novel. The first thing that made us novel was that we had technology that could deliver a very large hydrophilic molecule through the skin rapidly in large amounts. And the rapid is the second part that makes us novel, is that the unique thing about it is that we can get all the way through the dermal layers and into the surrounding tissue, circulation, ligament, bone, wherever, in about an hour. So that it gives you the benefits that traditionally, when we've used things to improve carnosine in the body, it can take 3 or 4 months, and there's a very high non-responder rate. And so we would actually have to take out muscle, cut open somebody's muscle, pull the tissue out into 3 or 4 months, and then see, did this person actually respond to it? And that's not a very good way about going about things. So we can bypass all of those things, first pass metabolism, and put it directly on the skin. And you can cover a large amount of your skin. It's the largest organ in the body, our skin is, and it can get in there and have its effect in about an hour. So it's a very powerful technology. It is patented, and it's the only transdermal product approved by the FDA in the last 25 years. So there's only 17 on the market, and most of them are a testosterone or estrogen, and most of them are a patch, require an inkjet or a syringe. So what that means is they're invasive. And so we have one of the only, if not the only, that is a gel format. It's not a patch, and it's non-invasive technology, and it's all natural within the ingredients themselves. So that is what's patented, is the actual delivery system and the delivery of carnosine. That is what we were able to achieve, both a medical patent and sports performance patent. There were two, for its ability to buffer lactic acid and sport performance on top of all the great health and wellness benefits that it confers when you utilize the product.
Okay, and so do we all have the same level of carnosine, or how do we have carnosine in our body for people that don't know about it? And what happens to that as we age? Could you just tell us a little bit about carnosine in our bodies?
Sure. Absolutely. So there are some sex differences in carnosine accumulation. So women typically accumulate less carnosine in their muscle tissue than men, and the reason for that is they have a lower threshold of the high intensity fibers, your type 2X, type 2B fibers. The women carry around less than men, so therefore they carry around a little bit less carnosine. So that's one difference. Everybody kind of peaks in their body's ability to build carnosine in their body by around 9 or 10. That's what the literature tells us. So you kind of peak and you're over the hill at 9 or 10 years old in terms of your ability to rapidly and build a large amount of carnosine in the body. From there, it only depreciates over time as you age over the next 60, 70 years of life. So that's kind of how it presents itself in the body. And as I mentioned, it's made primarily three different places: the heart, the skeletal muscle, and the cerebral spinal fluid. And from there, the body will use it to perform a whole array of cellular functions. And carnosine, when you look at the literature, is very well documented for being a very powerful anti-inflammatory and anti-chelator of metals like copper and zinc. It's also very good at calming hyperexcitability within the nervous system and being able to deal with neurotoxicity that comes from the hyperexcitability when you have an injury, a tissue injury. So it's very powerful. Those are only a handful of things that it can do. It improves glucose, insulin sensitivity. It can help with weight loss. It improves gross efficiency and movement outside of exercise, so people can get up and move more freely. So carnosine has so many different functions within the body, but it is very limited genetically on how much is going to be in that muscle. So whether you're male or female, your genetics, your DNA, your parents, and your lineage are going to determine if you have enough to be like Usain Bolt or you have enough to be like Grace. Because I'm pretty sure you're not running a 9 second 100 meters, but that's kind of what the difference is that the genetics allow these elite athletes to have high levels of muscle carnosine, and everybody else is going to have a little bit lower level than that. The beauty of the product is that both of the sides of the spectrum can benefit equally by using the product. So it doesn't matter if you've already maximized your genetic potential, which is why I mentioned Usain Bolt, or you're somebody who falls lower down on that cascade. Maybe you are, as a hobby, you exercise or do different things where you're active, or maybe we're a former competitive athlete. Wherever you fall, the benefits of the gel are going to be universal. You're going to see within an hour a rapid accumulation into the tissue in large amounts, very predictable. So the benefits are universal regardless of where you're at in the spectrum and how your body produces and makes carnosine and whatever genetic limitations that you have. And that's another reason why it's so powerful, is because your body has already determined this genetic limitation, and we're able to say, no, that's not going to be the case, because we're able to blow past what is there present in the muscle. We can double and triple that in one application. So whatever's there present, we can potentially increase that by 100% or more with one application in an hour. And that's something that has never been documented before. You could orally ingest beta alanine or carnosine for the rest of your life, and you're not going to see that kind of an improvement. So that is the contrast between what's available and what's possible currently for carnosine and what we have. Is we can put 200 to 300% of what's there in the muscle up to that in one application after an hour. So that's kind of how the genetics work, and then how we can influence how those genetics affect carnosine showing up in your body.
Amazing. Well, I'm not sprinting, but I am chasing around 5 children. So I just love that this truly is for everyone because I feel the difference. So now we are going to do a bit of a round table here. So our other experts are on, and we're going to have a bit of a discussion with Chad, Kevin, and Giselle. The one thing that we've been asked a lot is the difference between this and any other topical pain reliever or mineral cream that's out there on the market today. So if we could start hearing from Dr. Kevin Keys. Welcome, Dr. Kevin. And you certainly know a thing or two about injuries.
Yeah. Hey, can you see me there, or am I?
No, try and turn your camera on.
That's what I'm looking at. Sorry, guys. Let me just do that. All right, there I am.
There
Hey.
you are. Welcome.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, or early Thanksgiving. Yeah, as far as tissue injuries go, chiropractor of 27 years. And so obviously a lot of soft tissue injury in my day. And this product, as Chad had mentioned, has a very unique, nothing that I've ever seen before that's been on the market. Of course, I've seen everything and all of the claims that have come along. And in clinical practice, you want to vet the things that you bring in very closely. Looking at the science of this was very unique. As you mentioned about carnosine, its anti-inflammatory properties, not only from the once inflammation begins, but also to suppress the front end of inflammation from even starting in the first place. And then the buffering of lactic acid, which is quite unique as well. And so he brought that up as far as performance, the performance aspect. So as far as athletes, when in the athletic community, just seeing immense immediate changes in people and their performance and also the recovery, and as well from that anti-inflammatory perspective. So this is not just a pain reliever. This is actually, this is what I love. The body has an ability to function when it's given certain things to put it to work. And carnosine is one of those things that goes to work in the body where it needs to. And we just see not just only from the soft tissue aspect, but what you were saying from a lot of health different aspects. One of the things he spoke to was the neurological effects of soft tissue injuries or just neurological effects in general, and downregulating some of this excitability that occurs as a result of that. And so I have a family practice, so I see a lot of athletes, but I also just see a lot of just regular people and children as well. And I think that, and I brought this up on calls before, that I just think that it's very exciting because of the assault on the nervous system in general. And this is a great neuroprotective agent and supplement that's, again, delivered over the skin that you don't have to take through a powder or a pill, and really produces great results. So,
would you be able to speak to that, Chad, about how you've seen carnosine work in the nervous system and perhaps in relation to children as well?
Sure, absolutely. If we kind of refer to the scientific literature to know what buckets do we need to go place our energy and our time in. And we listen to the people and see, what's been the most beneficial. And then we go and look at the literature. Does that align with what's already been established? And if not, maybe we need to be the ones to push that line of evidence forward. And so the nervous system being mentioned, what we found is that's why we refer to it as a cytoplasmic neuropeptide. That wasn't just us pulling it randomly out of there. That is, in fact, the way it behaves and how it functions. And so we recognized early on, hey, this stuff is very neuroprotective, and that's extremely unique because, I could probably name off about 20 to 25 modern diseases that there's a very large overlap in the nervous system and the etiology of either the disease onset or the symptomology. And once we realize, hey, this could have an impact for all of them pretty easily, just in how it functions and wants to function within the body. That's not our genius or anything special that we've done. That's carnosine and how brilliant it is. And in fact, like Dr. Kevin mentioned, and that it will go and do what it knows it needs to do. Other research groups have referred to it as a smart drug for that reason. That's not our words. That's what other research groups, echoing Dr. Kevin's words and how it will function when you put it in a disease state versus is it going to prioritize buffering lactic acid? And we already know the answer to that, and it's no. It's going to go and try to help whatever diseases or inflammation or triglyceride or whatever's going on. And so with the nervous system, what you find is when you look at closed head injuries like concussion or Gulf War syndrome or autism, or you take things like fibromyalgia, cystic fibrosis, and the list just goes on and on and on. They all share a component where there's neurological insult. Either it's the main driver or one of the top symptoms. And so that is the place where we've gotten the most feedback from patients that are in clinic, like with people like Dr. Kevin, or just directly giving us feedback to our company, to corporate. And, the immediate ones were like the chemotherapy-induced neuropathy and the fibromyalgia and the autism. And when you start looking at those mechanisms, it makes a lot of sense because you look into the way that these things are affecting people, and you can see that if you can calm down the hyperexcitability around those dendrites and those neurons, and you can, I mean, if it's so incredible when you look at the literature, you can see carnosine can actually help regenerate nerves because it's very important to the creation of the myelin sheath. So it doesn't just perform one function, even in its neuroprotective abilities, because it can calm down the hyperexcitability, which is kind of, I would say, well documented at this point. And then you look at all the other things that it does within the nervous system when there's a change in the state of that tissue, then now you have satellite cell migration, now you have DNA transcription, and you have all these things for repair and recovery. And carnosine plays a significant role in all of them, including the energy metabolism of the tissue and all kinds of other crazy nerdy stuff that we could go, pretty deep and wide with. And so that's why it's so powerful. Even just that by itself would give us enough to study and enough people to help to keep our company pushing forward for the next 50 years, because every condition that I mentioned has zero treatments for it now. All the pharmaceutical drugs that are available are off-label use with a ton of side effects. There's basically nothing for fibromyalgia and autism. And in fact, when you look at the literature, you can see with Gulf War syndrome and with autism, the only thing that's ever been published to make a change in the cognitive ability, so memory recall, the ability to have a full night's sleep, appetite regulation through the microbiome. None of those things have ever been improved in the research in children with autism until they used oral carnosine, which I mentioned is super suboptimal. It's complete garbage if we're trying to use it as a therapeutic, but it was still able to achieve those results. So it is literally the only thing documented in some of these conditions to actually move the needle enough to have some type of an effect size that would give clinicians the confidence to use this to help people. And so we are just trying to piggyback off of all that's been established there with a product that can be significantly more effective.
Well, one of the things I would say is that when you look at the clinical, the research data and in clinical practice, you want to make sure that outcomes match that. And so, as Chad's put forth, that there's so much research behind this, and it's impressive research. But are we yielding those clinical outcomes, and are we seeing it? And that is the amazing part about this, is that it stands up, and that we are seeing these changes. There's a condition like peripheral neuropathy. It's very difficult clinically. It's multi-layered. You're looking at glucose metabolism. There's advanced glycation end products involved with this. There's excitability of the nerves. So carnosine actually downregulates this glutamate activity, and then it helps to upregulate the GABA, which is calming. So that's why we see. So we know that from like the research, but then what we see in these clinical outcomes in these cases are, for example, cases like ADHD or children on the spectrum, that their nervous systems are just being overtaxed, and because they're overtaxed and overworked, that you're downregulating that glutamate activity, you're upregulating GABA, you're bringing in these neuroprotective effects, you're again helping glucose metabolism, you're downregulating chronic inflammation, and this product innately knows how to go to work in the body. It just travels to those areas, and again, if you apply it to an area and you think that that's your pain area, sometimes say it's your shoulder and you're rubbing it on your shoulder. Subsequently, people experience different responses as well. And I think it's just important to be aware of what those are, so that people can take an inventory list and then compare that and see what kind of response that they're truly having from it.
Yeah, that's actually a brilliant description of what's happening in somebody that is experiencing the neuropathy is discussing all those different inputs that contribute to it. And it is amazing how well suited carnosine is to deal with all those things. It is actually a neurotransmitter. There's been a couple of researchers that have published that. And not only that, another thing that people don't realize, everybody knows about glutathione. Carnosine is significantly more potent as an anti-inflammatory than glutathione. A lot of people don't know that, but it blows glutathione out of the water too. So, it really can perform that trifecta needed to kind of mitigate all those symptoms. And in fact, when we talk to people that have chemotherapy induced or just early stage peripheral neuropathy, especially the chemotherapy induced, where they're still at the tingly stage, it's within seconds oftentimes where they have relief and they're able to go out and work in the garden and do all those things. Or the people that are more advanced that have maybe lost feeling or have some burning, we see that kind of being relieved also pretty rapidly within a few minutes. And to contrast that, the University of Toronto was made aware of our product, and they study diabetic neuropathy, which is the other end of that spectrum where it takes a long time. There's actually nothing right now, really. And they started to see results at 8 to 12 months and started to give us that feedback, which is incredible because, that's an area that, as you know, doctor, doesn't have a lot of capillarization, which makes it difficult to deliver anything orally there. And even with the topical that penetrates like the way as ours has, it's been a challenge to really to move the needle there. But we're finally getting some results in that aspect too. So pretty exciting on that front as well.
Most of the medications that, again, they're off-label prescriptions for it, and they do have a lot of side effects to them. And ultimately, they just aren't really moving the needle. One of the things that we obviously see quite a bit of is a radiculopathy, which is basically a pinched nerve when people have some type of injury. Say you have a weightlifting injury, you have some disc herniation. Most people think of it as the actual mechanical compression of a nerve root, but we know that that's just only one component of it. It really is. There's this whole chemical component of it, and I used to prescribe a lot of supplements that go along with the physical care that I would give and the body work that I would do. And, it's just amazing using LactiGo in conjunction with this. And again, for those exact responses, or what you're talking about is nerve injury and nerve insult, and that going to work and down regulating that inflammation. And again, just healing up nerve pain very quickly. Exciting, extremely exciting on just multiple levels. I haven't seen one thing do, one supplement or one product be able to do so many different things, I guess. And that's, so when people look at it, we could speak to their performance, and that makes a lot of sense. And with regard to buffering lactic acid, and that is truly phenomenal just in itself. But again, when you get into the aspects of, we really haven't gone down into the glucose metabolism all that deep, but those neuroprotective effects. And again, is when we look at really chronic disease, most chronic disease, what are we looking at? And it's really comes down to oxidative processes and toxicities, right? And as well as chronic inflammation. And carnosine has effects, and specifically, when I say carnosine, it is the this transdermal delivery system that LactiGo has that makes it the all-star. And I just applaud the company, honestly, for being patient, holding the line to be able to deliver this product in the right way. Because there's nothing out there. This is truly the patented product that will, change a lot of lives and a lot of conditions because of it.
It's truly amazing. And I know that Dr. Giselle Batchela is wanting to get on here too and have a discussion with you guys. So welcome, Dr. Batchela. I'd love to hear. Are you there?
Hi. Yes, I'm here. Can you see me and hear
Wonderful.
me?
Well, yes, we can. And I'm sure everyone can just feel the energy of this call and how powerful this product is. It's just blowing my mind hearing you guys speak about this. So thank you. Thank you for all being here and sharing. I just wanted to ask you if you wanted to add to anything that everyone's been talking about, any excitement. Tell us about your journey with LactiGo as well, please.
Sure. So I could be long-winded, so please do interrupt and get us back on track if I go off too far. But as far as my personal journey goes, it's a very interesting timing for LactiGo to be launching and to be coming into my world, because so my background is that I have a dental degree and a few other degrees in healthcare and wellness. And but my posture professionally is one of sitting, bending, twisting, and even with lots of yoga and Pilates and all these things over the years, that professional posture is definitely something that can cause issues. And over the last year, I've had the most severe injury. And I would say for the last 6 months, the thing that I was pointing to the most was I have this lactic acid buildup, and so even with these herniated discs, this torn labrum in my hip, and all of this pain that had been initially very sharp, it was very evident to me that that really what I was feeling as I was healing was more of the lactic acid situation from the muscles overfiring. And so it has been for me in a personal way a really huge gift, because I'm someone who is very inclined toward trying to make sure that I'm supporting my, not overdoing any kind of approach that would just be a Band-Aid. And so this has just been, timing wise for me personally, a huge gift and a huge honor to know about at a time when most of the world is still yet to hear about this product. But yeah, as far as what I do professionally, I have a wellness and regenerative wellness and aesthetics office in Park City, Utah. And what I do with my approach with aesthetics and with wellness is focusing on putting more vitality into all of the tissues that I treat. For anyone listening to the call, you've probably heard of things happening in the aesthetic space where you're doing the exact opposite. You're taking vitality away. And so that is not, my approach is, again, to support vitality and health in all the tissues that I treat. So, and I treat all kinds of things from, I have a full body light bed for photobiomodulation, supporting cellular health and wellness, which thereby supports tissue health and wellness, which is exactly what we're talking about here, is supporting everything from a very small scale to the large scale systemically. So I absolutely just love the comment that was made. It's not just a pain reliever, right? Pain relievers exist, and in some cases, those can be necessary. But ultimately, what you're really looking for often when you're in pain is not just relief of the pain, but healing. And so this product is just wonderful to be aware of in the space of really wanting to support not just myself, but the people that I take care of and that I love in my life, with something that is really is going with an approach that is not just a Band-Aid. It's an approach that's supportive in the long run. And another aside, and then I'll stop talking. So I also have experience as a biological dentist, and it might be interesting to just understand some things with that. Like it's been mentioned, fibromyalgia. I mean, as far as in dental school was concerned, I'm just going to echo what's already been said. It's like there's nothing that we can do, so you hear about this condition, you hear, I mean, and the people who suffer from this, I mean, it's their whole life, right? It's not just a little ache here. It's really very much impactful for the day-to-day activities of life. And so when you hear things like this, whether or not anyone who's watching this knows of someone or has dealt with fibromyalgia, it's just a huge, it's a huge thing to understand that things that heretofore we haven't really had any answers for. We're just like, oh, that's really too bad that these clients suffer from this. We wish we could do more. That we have a solution, and the solution is, or we have a way of supporting it in a way that is accessible and again, is not just a Band-Aid, not just something that is going to cover a thing and potentially cause the thing to be worse while you're covering it. So delighted to be here. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. So this is a round table. I'd love for you guys to have some conversation between yourselves. You mentioned longevity, Giselle, and that's your field as well. Is there any questions or things you'd like to bring up? Carnosine has been referred to by many as the longevity molecule. Why is that?
Is this question for me or is it for Chad?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, for you, and then maybe to have a conversation with Chad about the nitty-gritty science of it all.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to echo so much of what has already been said in this space, because it's the fundamental aspect of what we're seeing when it comes to disease and when it comes to aging is something that's already been mentioned, which is oxidative damage, oxidative stress, inflammation, these kinds of things. We really just can't say that enough. I mean, the damage that's caused even by venom from a snake. I mean, it's all on a smaller scale, this level of the cells trying to catch up with some damage that has been done in an oxidative damaging kind of way. So if you look at as we age, those things become, the bumps in the road to recovery are more difficult to overcome as we age. So as we're able to not have as much inflammation, as we're able to have less oxidative stress, we're going to function better, feel younger, look younger. I mean, all of those things. Love to hear what you and Kevin have to say, Chad.
Yeah, it's like mentioned before with all of these things, the carnosine is super well evidenced to help with advanced glycation end products too, right? And so I think those contribute to aging probably more than any of the other things that we talked about in terms of their influence. And so you just look at that and you think, well, what does that mean to us? Well, that means that carnosine is protective of mitochondria. And if you can be protective of mitochondria, then maybe you can even influence telomeres in some way, right? So that's a whole nother frontier when you talk about longevity and anti-aging, what carnosine's potential is there. And I think you just have to look at the cosmetic space to see what that kind of can look like because it's probably one of the number one anti-aging ingredients for the skin as well. And it can reverse cell death and diploid cells and all this other magnificent stuff in the cosmetic space. And so when you can do that through and through from the skin all the way through to every internal organ within the body, you're certainly going to have an impact on its ability to mitigate some of the things that contribute to aging. And so could that the use of carnosine topically on a daily basis delay the clock a little bit? Certainly the hypothesis is supported by evidence. So I don't think it's any stretch to say that it has strength in that capacity as well. So yeah, I think it's very well supported to be mitochondrial protective, and that's why we called it a cytoplasmic neuropeptide because it can go into the cytoplasm of every cell. It has very strong access through the cell membranes, especially in mitochondria, probably the place where it can go and have the easiest access. And to Dr. Kevin's credit, that talking about glucose use, that is also super well evidenced what carnosine can do. In fact, there's phase 2 clinical trials in diabetics when they've observed 3 primary endpoints. What does that mean? That means they've identified 3 specific places they were going to collect evidence, do a statistical analysis, and report the outcomes. And they got really good results in all 3 areas. And what those were it was able to improve insulin sensitivity, and it was able to improve glucose utilization via improvement of ATP production through the electronic transport chain and beta oxidation, and it was able to help them lose weight. And the hypothesis for the weight loss was that they were able to increase expenditure by moving more because there was less inhibition to movement because of the carnosine being in the muscle, because diabetes is a muscle disease. When you think about diabetes, you have to think about where it takes place. Well, where does insulin regulation happen? In the mitochondria, in the muscle cells. So that's really where its power is, as well as mentioned. And one of the things that it can help as it's doing all these other anti-inflammatory, it's helping with advanced glycation end products. It's dealing with any type of, neurotoxicity, hyperexcitability, and it can help regulate your ability to be sensitive to glucose and as well as to have its production be mitigated in a way that you can even improve gross efficiency. That's something that's been observed in these research studies. So you can actually have people moving around with less energy taken to do so, which is fantastic because then it's not as laborious to do simple tasks. And you're well supported on the back end of that as a 1-2 punch on what happens when we do exert ourselves biochemically in a high intensity way or just through the long day. As to Grace, to your credit, you said you're not a sprinter, but you chase around all these kids. Hell, that might be harder. I've only got 3, and I went to the Olympics, and I can tell you being a dad is way harder than it was for me to get ready for those things. So, just a day like that is draining to most of us, right? And so, you can really help even on the gross efficiency side with energy production there. So, Yeah, I mean, it's limitless where we can go on discussion and the amount of science that's available to support everything that's coming out of our mouths right now. So it's a pretty awesome situation that we're uniquely in this position with the amount of science that was already generated prior to us coming up with a solution to being able to deliver carnosine.
A good point you made there about the glucose metabolism being in the skeletal muscle. We know that longevity is tied to muscle mass, and as we age, the natural tendency is to decrease muscle mass. And how important muscle mass is, I think most people are onto that now. I think we know that one of the other famous peptides on the market, is GLP-1s that are actually known that they actually will help. A lot of people are losing muscle mass as a result of that. And obviously they're working harder to try to generate more muscle mass. When people, obviously we need to get people out there that are deconditioned so that they can improve their muscle mass. So we want to make sure that they are putting on more muscle so that they can improve glucose metabolism. And they're sore, their joints are sore, their muscles are sore. So the best thing for them to do is use LactiGo. It just, like, when I see things in the medical field where we're able to use a drug and use it off label, and hey, no problem with that. We're going to use this gabapentin, whatever neurological symptom you have, let's just try it. Okay, well, why don't we try LactiGo? Like, again, is the science fully there? No, but I would like to see, and I think it's very interesting. We know the study of epigenetics. Okay, our genes have a protein coating around them, and they're influenced. They're influenced by our thought life, even our emotional state. They're affected by your level of movement. They're affected by nutrition. And we know that these telomeres are the DNA strands have these telomeres on them. And carnosine, there is some connection. Is it 100%? Are we seeing that? Have we measured that? Has the study been done on that yet? Well, no, but I think that these are certainly things in the hopper that we can address. But in the meantime, are we going to see people with more glowing skin? I'm 72, by the way. No, I'm not actually not. Look at how great I look. No, but you see people using LactiGo. It really does vitalize skin. Like you said, big organ. It vitalizes skin right down to the muscle level to, again, to the neuroprotective effects. So it's very wide ranging, which poses as a challenge, though, for us as a team as well to investigate a lot of these different areas. But I would just ask people to, again, there's no harm. There are no negative side effects to at least try this and to see what kind of outcomes that you're getting. And like anything, you have to stick with it. You have to be, if you're with an exercise regimen, you're with a nutrition regimen, you do have to stick with it over a period of time to actually see some clinical results. So I would just say that to people is, investigate that. And, over time, I'm sure the science will confirm what we're already seeing in some of those areas.
Mm-hmm. Can people take this if they are taking some prescription medicines? Is there any adverse effects at all?
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful thing, is that there are no known clinical interactions or drug pharmaceutical interactions with it. So that's what's amazing. There are even, some, supplementation that you have to be mindful of when giving to people with certain that are on certain drugs. So this is really unique in that way.
Well, I guess the easier question to ask is there anything that carnosine can't do? Because it really packs that 1-2 punch like you're talking about, Chad. So I'd just like to wrap up this call by just going around and asking each of you, starting with Dr. Keys, what you're most excited about.
Wow. Well, I'm just excited to see the further applications as again and again, probably some of the scientific validification of validation of some of the things that we're seeing clinically in the outcomes. But I'm just excited really to get this out to the community and to get it into more hands, because I do think it's just an easy application. It's so, one of the things is compliance of using something. And this is so easy to use. Again, you don't have to inject it. It's easy to travel with. You can do it anywhere. And so I think that just getting more people actually utilizing it, it works beautifully along the style of practice that I have. So I imagine that there's literally thousands of practices like myself that could be integrating this in and helping more people. So I'd really like to get it into their hands as well, so they could start impacting more people and helping more people.
Amazing. Giselle?
Well, I have to say, I'm excited. I can't not say that I'm excited because of how potent it is and powerful it is in the world of anti-aging, even though, in my personal opinion, the functionality of the day-to-day life, the things that we're talking about in the realm of, you know, neuropathy and autism and fibromyalgia, I feel like those are far more meaningful life changers. But let's face it, the industry, as far as anti-aging goes and the way you look goes, is something that tends to attract people even more than, than some of these functional things. So I love that the fact that you can apply this and then you have systemic benefits. So whether you're coming to the table for a true wellness motivation, or you're coming to the table to look better or to support your skin because you have heard that this was in anti-aging products over the counter for years before LactiGo came to the market. I just love that it's serving people on so many different levels. And the piece that, years ago I was in nursing school, and the big buzzword in nursing school seemed like forever, and every other word is homeostasis. And so as Dr. Keys is talking about these things, and Chad too, I'm just hearing that it's homeostasis is what we're getting to. If you have hyperexcitability, it takes care of that. If you have too many heavy metals, it's taking care of that. If you have inflammation, it's taking care of that. All of these elements are bringing us to more homeostasis, which is the place, of course, where you cannot have disease. The body is wanting to heal itself. The body wants to be the best version of itself. And I love that this is supporting so many elements of that. And that, again, even if if the audience isn't caring as much as wellness and longevity, that you can sneak in some healthy vitamin to their mix here with this product. So
Thank you.
We'll have a lot of more beautiful and healthy people.
Which is how we're meant to be.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's what I do. That's my whole profession. So
back to wholeness. Chad, could you finish on what you're most excited about after your 15 years plus lifetime of research?
Well, this is actually good because I actually finally have something to be excited about. So normally, when you give these updates, it's, oh, we're going to be working on other products. We're doing this. But now we've actually done that. So I can't reveal what they are, but I will say this. I have mentioned we have actively been working to improve the current formula. So to kick out every single thing that's not completely natural, put it through the skin, do the testing, see if it still works. We're trying 4 or 5 different formulations right now for the original product. And then the idea was, there's 3 or 4 things that people commonly will report back to them as important, whether it's health and wellness, aesthetically, whatever that may be. And so we wanted to see, could we make some products from our formula that could address some of these concerns? I won't tell you guys what they are, but you can use your imagination on what, most people may deal with in their lives that can lead to, sustained happiness in the way that they look and perceive themselves and things of that nature. So, We have developed a couple new products and that are based around our original formula where we just add in different biologics to achieve a desired result. And we also we're successful in creating ones that are already existing in a market but novel. So we were able to identify things that previous science had not, just like we did with the carnosine delivery, and say, okay, this isn't being done. This is what we need to do for to activate stem cells here. And so we've come up with some unique products in that regard. We also created a liposome nano encapsulation delivery system that I was able to kind of figure out and fit within our aqueous gel delivery. So it'll still be the base formula that is capable of having nano encapsulation liposome delivery, which what that means for us is it could give us sustained release for some of these actives that we're dealing with, whether it be carnosine or otherwise. And so that's not something I even envisioned for us over the next few years. I hadn't even considered doing that. And so um, what's really exciting is that because everything, both of the products that we created are novel, we can patent them both. And so that will give us more IP, and that is massive. That makes us, that would make us one of the biggest players in the pharmaceutical market in existence in the world. And, the beginning of 2026, we are probably going to be ready to come out with these. And so, um, I don't think even the last 15 years would meet what is probably going to happen as a result of those things that we've been able to do over the last couple months. So yeah, this last few weeks we finalized the formulations and pressure tested the percentage and dosage and all the things, the pH of it, the temperature, how we're going to have to manufacture all this other stuff that people don't really realize is super important, and it's all fit perfectly. And so, even yeah, I mean, I can't even stress how crazy it is, what we're about to do. So, yeah,
Wow.
super excited, and we're
That,
gonna
and that right there is what makes this company so great. Is that kind of diligence and just to dedication to making this great, and as clinicians, how can you not put your confidence in that kind of team that care that much and are willing to keep moving that needle forward? So thank you, Chad. I really thank you and the entire team for just like killing it, and it makes our jobs easier. So thank you.
I appreciate that, and likewise, Doctor. Yeah, you speak for us. You guys are the voice of the product. So, we are indebted and highly appreciative of folks like yourself that both understand the science and are able to communicate it, which is important for education, and also are as passionate about it and can recognize what it can do. So, highly appreciative and very thankful for those kind words.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can feel the spirit of Thanksgiving. This is truly just so beautiful. I'm grateful because I'm a mum in Australia and I get to share this because of what you guys have created. And my family and my friends can benefit from that. And the beauty of this, for anyone that's been invited here, it's because someone cares about you enough to ask you to just try it and see what it can do for you. And that's all we invite you to do, to just try it. You can literally try LactiGo for around $50. Um, and the expansion of this, it's going to be in everyone's home all over the world very soon. So it's very exciting. If you're here at the beginning, the potential we have to really help people here get back to wholeness, homeostasis is truly so exciting. So thank you for being here. Thank you all so much for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and your experience. We're going to invite you next week. We've got a Q&A session with Dr. Keys and Dr. Willie Villarreal. Um, we just invite you to try it. It's guaranteed with LactiGo. If you're not happy with what you get, you can get your money back. That's right, Chad, isn't it? It's just all about wanting people to experience the benefits of carnosine through this new technology, and how exciting that we've got so much more coming that we've just had a sneak peek into now. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for taking the time out on this Thanksgiving weekend. We appreciate you all so much, and we'll see you next at the next Carnosine Academy.
You guys.
Good night.
Thank you. Good to be here.